prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. I have a couple of, first of all, welcome. Welcome to First Baptist Church of University Park. Amen. Welcome to First Baptist Church. I need to get over here. I'm sorry. My media team is about to go upside my head. Amen. Welcome to First Baptist Church of University Park. We understand ourselves to be a congregation seriously seeking to live the love of Christ in community through worship, witness, and works. We understand ourselves to be church for community, in community, by community. And because we are in, for, and by community, I understand myself, and we understand ourselves, whether you darken the doorstep or not of First Baptist Church, for you to be a member of this church, because we endeavor to serve the church. We endeavor to serve the community, amen. Not just those who come on Sundays, but anybody who lives in the precincts of University Park. As such, on your pews, you will see a QR code. You will see a document with a QR code. Everybody see that? Before we move forward, we would like for you to take a picture of that QR code, and with the link that it goes to, that is a QR code that provides a survey to help us understand what some of your desires and needs are, so that as a church we may be better equipped to serve our community. Amen? And so please take that short, it won't take you more than 30 seconds, but please go through and outline some of your concerns, what it is that you see as priority. There are self-directed questions that you have there. If you do not have a QR code near you, would you please raise your hand that we may serve you? Sister Shanika's coming around. There's one hand there, Sister Shanika. Any other hands? Does everybody have one on their pew? Everybody got one? If you see the QR code, say, I see it. That was about 3 of y'all. If you see the QR code, say, I see it. I'm a Baptist preacher. Y'all got to talk back to me now. It's still Sunday. All right. So thank you in advance for completing that survey. As we move forward, just a couple of housekeeping notes. Please remember that you are in a house of worship, which means don't be acting ratchet. Y'all play crazy if y'all want to. All right. What it means is that we ought to conduct ourselves in a way that is respectful, in a way that is responsible, so that we may get results in this election. Is that all right? Secondly, and Reverend Justin will talk more about that in a minute, for questions from the audience, questions from the crowd, there are cards that have been provided on each of your pews. Do you see those cards? 3.5 by 5 cards on either side of your pews. There are 3.5 by 5 cards. If you have questions, please write those questions down, and during the time of engagement, you will be able to not only write them, but submit them to Sister Shanika Singleton. Shanika, keep your hands. If you look back. That's Shanika right there. She'll be walking through the aisles periodically to collect questions, so that when it comes time after we have questioned our candidates, you will have your question and your voice offered as well. Is that okay? Does everybody have pen, paper, pen, and card? There should be pens on the pews as well, Reverend Justin. There should be pens on the pews as well. And so, yeah, share. All right? Does that make sense? Again, we welcome you to the Candidates Forum. We try to do this every time that there is an election, because we believe all politics is local. And in politics being local, though we have everything going on in Washington, that's a whole nother story for another day. All politics is local, and we need to engage our politicians and those who we elect, those who are vying for our votes, and those who are claiming to represent us to know if they are aligned with what it is with which we are aligned. Is that all right? Last but not least, I'll say this, and then I'll turn it over to Reverend Justin. Today is March 16th, correct? March 7th, 1965, 60 years ago, some people left Brown Chapel AME in Selma, Alabama, marching to Montgomery, Alabama, for the protection of their right to vote. When they got to the bottom of the Edmund Pettus Bridge, they were beaten. They had horses run over them. They were subjected to subhuman treatment simply for their desire to exercise their right to vote. I am encouraging those who are in the sanctuary, I am encouraging those who may be watching by way of web stream to not abdicate the right that has been bled for, bruised for, beaten for. Do not abdicate that right. Take your behind to whatever polling place there is and exercise your right to vote. You are here today because we want you to be educated voters so that you know what aligns with your values, with your morals, with what it is that you want to see your village looking like. And so we encourage you to make sure that you vote. I want to turn it over now to our Associate Pastor for Justice and Community Engagement, Reverend Justin Hamler, as he leads us forward and takes us forward in the community engagement. Thank you.
Can we give a hand for Reverend Dr. Reginald Williams, Jr.? Good afternoon to each of you. As Pastor Williams said, my name is Reverend Justin Hamler. I serve as the Associate Pastor for Justice and Community Engagement here at First Baptist Church, and I echo the sentiments of our pastor when I say welcome to First Baptist Church. I'm excited about what we're getting ready to embark upon in these next several minutes as we get into this candidates forum. Before I go any further, let me remind you, as Pastor has said, that voting, we always must make sure that we vote. And so here in University Park, early voting starts tomorrow at the library. And so if you're a resident, please make sure you take advantage of that. I'm going to first go through the rules of this evening. And after I go through the rules, then I'll introduce the candidates for trustees, and we'll get this party started, all right? You can talk back to me, all right? All right, all right. So this forum is intended to support open and respectful exchanges of ideas. So be mindful that aggressive, demeaning, discriminatory, or otherwise hurtful language and actions will not be tolerated. It will not be tolerated, and I, as the moderator, may ask individuals acting in such a way to leave. Each candidate, and the candidates know this, but each candidate will have 2 minutes to provide an opening and closing statements. The timekeeper to my left, timekeeper, can you raise your hand? We got two timekeepers. Candidates, the timekeeper will give you a signal when 30 seconds remains and will stop at the 2-minute mark. And so please note that the timekeeper is over here, so look out for those signs so that you can govern yourselves accordingly in your answers. The order of candidate opening and closing statements will be decided at the forum. We've done that already, so the candidates know which order they should do their opening and closing statements in. A total of 4 questions will be asked by me, the moderator, and each candidate will have an opportunity to answer each question with a maximum answer time of 2 minutes. The timekeeper will also give signal to the candidate when there are 30 seconds left. The order of those candidate responses will change for each of you to ensure fairness, and so I'll make note of who goes first, and I'll direct the questions where they need to go. Audience members, that's you all. Say, hey. Audience members, you all will be allowed to submit questions. Pastor Williams gave you all directions on how you do that. Note that your questions will be pre-screened. One, we want to be here all day. We'll be here all day if we pass the mic around, I'm sure. But we want to make sure that the questions aren't redundant, and so Pastor Williams will be going through the questions to ensure that the questions are respectful, that they are not demeaning or discriminatory or otherwise hurtful language. And so note that. And so a total of 5 questions from the audience will be taken, and each candidate will get 2 minutes to respond to audience questions. And note that the timekeeper will give you directions on when there's 30 seconds left and so on. Those of you in the audience and others in attendance online, you're not permitted to ask questions or make comments during the forum. And so if anyone here fails to adhere to this rule, you may also be asked to leave. And so please be respectful of this house and be respectful of the candidates. Candidates, you all may not interrupt each other. I know I won't have to deal with that today, but just note that you will not be able to interrupt each other, and you may not use text or other communication technology during the forum except for emergency purposes. And so you may use writing material, but you may not use visual presentation materials. All right? So with that being said, let's get started. So I'd like to invite up to the front of the sanctuary the candidates running for trustee of University Park. Can we give them a hand as they come? So running, we have trustee Karen Lewis. We have Sonia Jenkins Bell. We have trustee Theo Brooks. We have trustee Janelle McFadden. We have Devonia Sorrell, and we have Timothy Robinson. Can we give them a hand as they come? It doesn't matter. So as we prepare to get started, I give each of you 2 minutes for your opening statement, starting with trustee Lewis.
Good afternoon.
It's on.
Yes, okay, there we go. Good afternoon. My name is Trustee Karen Lewis, and I want to take this opportunity to reintroduce myself to you and introduce myself to those of you that don't know me. First, I'd like to express my gratitude for First Baptist Church for Hope. To all the residents here and those joining us via live stream, thank you for allowing me to serve as your trustee. During my time in water crisis, the impact of COVID-19, civil unrest, and an influx of migrants, I want to present our residents with the need of leadership and most providing essential information, participating in food drives, distribution of masks and hand sanitizer. I've advocated for emergency policies to protect our residents and their properties in University Park. We are welcoming new businesses and creating jobs for the first time in our community's history. We are experiencing a financial surplus that enables us to tackle much needed repairs as our infrastructure improvements in our community. I've represented our community in governmental spaces such as in Springfield, Washington, and Chicago, and I remain actively involved in the county level and participating in regional workshops to foster positive relationships and enhance our quality of life. I believe the community needs stability in local leadership, especially given the current state of our nation. Local government plays a crucial role in our daily lives, often affecting us more immediately than any other level of government. Thus, I ask for your vote to continue the progress we've made together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Lewis. Thank you so much, Mr. Sorrell.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Sunday. I am Trustee Janelle McFadden, and I appreciate the opportunity to participate in this informative forum. Serving the wonderful residents of University Park has been a true honor for me. During my first term, I have remained committed to serving our community by supporting initiatives that benefit both current and future residents. As the trustee liaison to the Finance Committee, I prioritize leading with truth and transparency. I'm pleased to share that our village finances are now in a strong position, boasting a multi-million-dollar surplus rather than being in the red. Additionally, I've advocated over $300 million in economic development. I am a 25-year resident of University Park and a member of Faith Movers Church. My husband Arthur and I have raised 3 children who all graduated from the 201U Creek Monique School District. 2 who are of our 3 children are firefighters in Fort Worth, Texas, and our youngest son attends University of Illinois Champaign studying Japanese and will be traveling abroad to Japan this summer.
Thank you so much, Trustee McFadden. Trustee Brooks. Be sure to hold the mic up to your mouth.
There we go. It
We
was
have a
off.
streaming audience as well.
Okay, it was off. Time. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank First Baptist Church, Pastor Williams, Reverend Justin, for hosting this forum, and because both gentlemen have been a pillar in this community as they try to bring all of us together to make University Park a stronger community. My name is Theo Brooks, and I'm honored to serve as your trustee. I live in this community 20 plus years. My family been here over 36 years. I chose this place for us to have a family to raise because we all have that sense of it, a community that definitely can be better. I am a husband of Karen Brooks, she's here today, as well as a father and a long life public servant. I committed to serve in 1987 as a police officer until I was injured in the line of duty. I served as your chairman of your Police and Fire Commission. I served as vice chair of the Public Service Utility. I also mentored hundreds of young men as they played for the Moni Mavericks as well as Rich Township High School. As your trustee for 7 years, I have worked hard for you. I gave the residents a voice that was always heard and protect your tax dollars to be used wisely, as well as I've taken this village to court and won to demand accountability, as well as show that we're trying to push for good government. I'm running for re-election because my neighbors, township, county, as well as the state and federal elected officials asked me to run again, to continue to fight for University Park. And tonight, I look forward to answering your questions of our vision of University Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks.
Oh, good afternoon. I'm Sonia Jenkins Bell. Thank the church for having a forum today, and also the residents for coming out to hear how you want to vote April 1st. I've been in the village for 14 years. I've been married 32. I have 4 children, and also I sit as the committee woman for Precinct 6 for 8 years in Will County and was the first woman elected. I love University Park. I've worked tirelessly in this community for the residents of this community to bring change to the community. And this is why I'm running again for trustee. I started works, I started rehabilitation of Regal Farm, and I want to complete it and see it through. Anyone that knows me knows that that was my baby. I've been dedicated to all the residents, especially the children. I've had the opportunity to be a co-founder for the University Park baseball organization that is still in existence today. I have done so many different things in this community. I also sit as the Will County Democratic Executive Board as the auditor for there, and I sat as the second vice chair and also the chair. So I've been involved in Will County as well. So I thank you guys again for coming out and listening to us all and knowing that a vote needs to be had. And I'm asking you to vote for me for complete leadership and transparency with the Village of University Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bell.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tim Robinson, and I'd like to thank First Baptist for allowing us to be here today. I'm a 26-year veteran. I'm married to Deborah Robinson. Between us, we have 7 kids. I have a bachelor's in business marketing, a business associate degree, and a general studies degree, and a master in common sense. So I'll be lying to you if I tell you I feel I'm the best candidate, because I know I am the best candidate. I am the man for this job. I'm bringing leadership, more discipline, better communication, and most of all, uniting this village. It's too much division, and we will never get nothing done. Old mayor versus the new mayor needs to stop. The beginning starts with electing me and punching forward. That is over with. Whoever sits in that mayor's position, that position needs to be respected. So the residents, y'all are in the crossfire, friendly fire. Long as this bickering between each other instead of us come together will never work. Let's start at the beginning, getting this community back together again. Since I've been the veteran committee leader here 3 years, I have already implemented Will County Health Department bringing in COVID testing and Narcan sprays for the opioid addiction. I done started up a mentorship program. We got entrepreneurs coming here. My veteran committee is set with bankers, lawyers, governor state houses with legal advice for the village, bridging the gap, bringing us together. So in order to get this back together, we need to come together. If we know better, we can do better. So punch forward and let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robinson. Before we really get into this, how many of you know one other person that could be here today? How many of you know one other person that could be and should be in this building today? So if you do me a favor, take out your phone, because this sanctuary ought to be packed right now. Take out your phone, go to Facebook or YouTube, type in First Baptist Church of University Park. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Why don't you like the post? Why don't you share it and send it out to someone who you know should be in this building this afternoon, all right? All right, let's go ahead and get started. The first question is this: why are you running or seeking re-election for trustee? And if elected or re-elected, what will be your priorities? I'll read that one more time. Why are you running or seeking re-election for trustee? And if elected or re-elected, what will be your priorities? Mr. Robinson.
Yes, sir. I'm running because I see the need of taking care of this village. I have served my country and served America. Now it's time to serve my village. I've been here for 3 years. I've seen the issues that were going on here. I already was reaching out to the community and helping through my veteran committee. So through my veteran committee, we also decided to help out the community. So my priority is veterans first, then the community. I walk this community. I have boots on the ground in this community. I talk to them. I hear the issues that's going on, the lack of trust between the village and the residents. Okay, I gave them that platform when I talked to them. Let me be your middleman. trust me, hold me accountable for what I can help you with. I can only take care of issues and help out on issues if I know what the issues is. So unless we can become part of the solution and not the problem, we will never get anything accomplished or done. So when I'm saying that, I need the community to come together and let's solve some of these problems. The bickering has to stop. So us coming together, working together, we can make this place good. Right now, this place looks like a vampire that sucked the blood out of it. Dry. I bring new ideas, new ventures, events. I have events set for the whole summer for University Park. Gospel concerts and festivals, Father's Day at the lake, all type of activities. But the village always saying there's nothing to do. When we do set something out, you got to come out and support it. Don't always complain about what's not out here when you're not participating. You need to come out and support. Like I say, put all that old stuff behind. Let's start a new, fresh beginning. Let's get it done out here and start bringing this place. If Trump can make America great, we can make University great. We can bring life back to University Park, but it's going to take all of us as a unit working together. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Jenkins Bell.
The reason why I'm running for trustee again is I ran for the trustee. I sat on the board for 4 years, and I care about this community like I've stipulated before. I started a lot of projects when I was a sitting trustee for the 4 years that I was there. Regal Farm is my baby, and that was one of the things that was really important to me, and still is getting it up and going, and also our swimming pool. The thing about this is that I'm looking at the village and I'm knocking on doors. You know, you knock on doors when you're campaigning, and I'm hearing the concerns of the residents. The concerns are priorities that need to be put in place, and we have to listen to what our residents and our taxpayers are saying. So my number one priority would be Aqua Water Company. They are not happy about it. They feel that it was not done justly, and they feel that they're still fearful for their health. Your health is your wealth, and if you don't do anything else, we need to make sure that we bring environmental attorneys here. At one point, we had an attorney that did absolutely nothing, and we paid her $5,000 a month. Now, if we can pay her, we can bring someone in that probably would come from Flint, Michigan. They had a good outcome with their water situation and money coming through their doors. We need to make sure that we put an environmental attorney and see where Aqua has went wrong. We didn't do due diligence when it came to the residents and Aqua Water Company. So that is one of my major priorities. And one thing that concerns me the most is we have children that walk 150 walkers, and we need safe passage to make sure that our children are getting back and forth to school safely. The fights are stopping. Our police force is already taxed. We need to put things in place that will help our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins Bell. Trustee Brooks.
Ladies and gentlemen, what I have is not exactly in order, but you know, it's probably something that we all sitting here, it's always something we need to deal with. Number one has to be transparency. We want to sit here and say that Village, I would say that we're much better than what we were 8 years ago when I first got here. It was a disaster. But the money is coming back, but we still need accountability. Let's talk about the $3.5 million that's missing from a golf course that's not open. That the FBI is still in investigation, and I'll put my hand on this Bible that sits behind us and say it's still in investigation. So if someone say it's not, they're being dishonest. Next would be your water. I should have had the opportunity to go down to Joliet, the trustee who was on the day one of the crisis. I appreciate the mayor giving me the opportunity to be on the water advisory team, but I don't understand why I was taken off. Because I had your water delivered, I had your time set, we were working together. There was no reason to remove me. So I have efforts that I definitely believe that we need to take, especially dealing with the EPA and with the government. Well, they deregulating everything right now because of our president. But it concerns me even more because we all are becoming sick. You whether having a stroke or you having cancer. That includes me, as 360 days ago happened to me, okay? Public safety, our police. I'm not even gonna tell you how many police are on the street. It's embarrassing. I didn't lay off the 7 officers. They did, and you can't get them back. Officers are taxed out on energy. Last but not least, you, the community. This is a managerial form of government. The mayor and the board of trustees should not be involved in the day-to-day operation of the village. It's the residents. We have to have the committees and commissions back, and that's my priority.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Trustee McFadden.
All right, the reason why I think I should be re-elected, I'm still trying to finish what we started. I am honest, I have integrity, and I am transparent. I am accessible to anyone in the village at any time. And if I don't return your call, if I don't talk to you, I will return the call. I consider myself the community conscious. I'm looking out for the best interest for everybody in University Park, and including myself and my family. Like I said, we've been here 25 years and raised our kids, and we're just glad that I love being here and I love doing this. After I retired from my state job 7 years ago, I decided to run for trustee, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I've been able to help get some things done, and I want to continue that. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee McFadden. Just point of housekeeping real quick before I go to you, Mrs. Sorrell. Please note, we are streaming, and so there's no need to stream or videotape. If you would like a copy of this, you can go on Facebook or YouTube. And so please, no video of the forum this afternoon. Amen? Amen. Mrs. Sorrell.
It's for growth and development. I would like to see a better community. I'm a part of the Mayor's Office of Special Events. I would like to see events continue for our children and for public safety. December 20th, my son was shot 9 times. There's a lack of public safety here, where people are scared to walk the streets. We should be able to walk the streets, go to the parks, whatever every other community is doing. Our water is horrible. I live out here. I have to drink the water. I have to bathe in the water just as you do. We should have better water than this. We should have a better quality in our community. We should have grocery stores in our community. We should have places where our children can go and play safely. I'm looking for growth and development for jobs, for transportation to jobs. There are jobs here, but our young people and other people can't get to it. People with disabilities can't get around because the transportation stops at 7 o'clock. Well, we have people that work past 7 o'clock, so how do we get around? So we do need some type of public transportation that lasts longer, places, parks for our children to play in, for it to be safe, for more police, for grocery stores, so we don't have to go outside of our community. We can spend the dollars in our own community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorrell. Trustee Lewis.
Hello. I am proudly seeking re-election to continue my efforts to sustain the continuous growth and economic development that our community is experiencing, such as my vote in support for the Quick Trip project that came to University Park, which is currently holding the projected highest revenue in the state of Illinois, which translates to more dollars for you in the U. I also voted for Dollar General, Samsung, Carvana, just to name a few. I believe it is important for the youth to continue in an upward transparency and physical responsible pathway. We are currently trending in the right direction. In addition to that, our constituents are seeing for the first time some dollars back to them. That's the right way. We're trying to get taxpayers' dollars back to them. I also continue regular finance meetings, which I am not the liaison on there, but in efforts to ensure and provide clear and concise information when important information regarding concise information when making important decisions regarding our dollars. And as far as the aqua situation, we are trending in the right direction to get another water source. We want to get out from under the reins of aqua. So we're trying to get there financially in order to start something to get onto the next level. Aqua has given us bad water, and we're fighting that. We went to court. We went down to the EPA. We talked to the top notch. Because we don't own our own infrastructure, it is hard for us to get there, but we're working. We have a village manager and the mayor. We're all working together to find a new water source for this village.
Thank you so much, Trustee Lewis. Next question. In your opinion, what is the most pressing issue facing University Park, and what is your plan to address it? In your opinion, what is the most pressing issue facing University Park, and what is your plan to address it? Mr. Sorrell. Mike.
Would be the water. It's a huge concern. People getting sick, babies getting sick. I haven't been a part of the board, but I'll try to get more information on how we can improve our water system, where we could get water from, lower these prices so that we can afford the water, continue to deliver water to those who need it and want it.
Thank you, Ms. Sorrell. Mrs. Jenkins-Bell.
Aqua Water Company is one of the most pressing issues in the village. I agree with Ms. Sorrell. But we have to stop sitting here and giving answers that people feel that we should want us to give and they're going to be accepting. Aqua has plagued this community since 2019 when the call was made to the mayor. It's ridiculous. Aqua has not come to our village to hear any of our concerns. We need to put things in place that are going to force Aqua to do what Aqua needs to do. And to do that, we have to have transparency from our government. Aqua went to court. Our village residents were not informed. Some of our trustees were not informed. We have a social justice preacher here in University Park that has been fighting Aqua for since 2019. Had they let us know, we could have went to the courts, packed it out, and got a better result. How are they going to give us $900,000? How? It's a dead cat on the line, and we need to make sure that these elected officials that have taken money from Aqua are called on the carpet for what they're not doing for a minority community. It makes absolutely no sense. And we do that by bringing in environmental attorneys that can help us take care of Aqua and make sure that Aqua is being held accountable. Our children are sick. I know so many residents that have had strokes, heart attacks. Children are being diagnosed with all types of things. The water fountains at the schools are still locked down. Aqua is not doing what they need to do by University Park, but as residents, we have to come together and do what we need to do by Aqua, and that means new leadership that's going to force it. Go to Flint, Michigan. Find out where their attorneys are. Find out what they've done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jenkins-Bell. Trustee McFadden.
The main problem that I believe is aqua water. I believe with both the other trustees that's running. Aqua water is best. We need to find another company to go with because this has been going on too long. This was going on before I was even a trustee. So I know
Thank you, Trustee McFadden. Trustee Brooks?
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the water is going to be the most pressing issue. Let me say, the failure to register 2,000 homes for the TAP program was very unacceptable. This administration dropped the ball, and we're all suffering for it. I told you back in 2023 that I would create a water bill relief fund to assist the residents with the high water bill with Aqua, because they didn't like what I was speaking of when I originally on the advisory committee when I said stop all payments, including sewer, at minimum free sewer payments. Went out deaf ears. Also to collaborate with the U.S. EPA, Office of Environmental Justice, and the U.S. congressional officials. I also said that we were going to have representative for the technical support and funding for the environmental justice to government program, as well as request the Disease and Control Center to conduct a community assessment of public health emergency response to address the residents' anxiety and health impact that's caused by this crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we are at the door, and I'm listening to so many people who are sick. Some of you in here right now are sick, and you know you're sick, and it started with this water. But yet, again, there was no reason to take a trustee, two-term trustee, and not take him down to Joliet to try to fight for the people. You worked with me in the past. Why not work for me in the future? Stop worrying about the next election and worrying about the people of University Park. You can fly up to Washington, but you didn't bring nothing back from the EPA. What you're doing is you steady wasting tax dollars will be number 2 on my concern when it comes to the finances, when it comes to spending money in University Park. I yield my time.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Mr. Robinson.
For me,
Hold on one second. So rule number 1 was that we were not going to have any disrespectful or disparaging comments from the audience. So please, 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 please be respectful and be mindful of where you are. This is a church. Amen? Amen. That's my first warning. Mr. Robinson.
all right. For me, it starts with leadership. Body can't work without the head, and the head can't work without the body. So for me, everything starts at the top. Good leadership will bring good discipline, and that will bring good ideas, good communication, and the biggest thing, unifying each other together. Like I keep saying, everybody can come up here and say all this other stuff, but it starts at the leadership at the top first. So you will have to regroup, come back together, and come up with a solution. I get put in that seat. I'm going to bring some discipline. I'm going to bring some fire. I'm going to bring some fresh ideas. I'm going to bring back good communication and good ideas for you. And best of all, I'm going to bring you back the solution and not an excuse. Excuses is a dime a dozen. I'm very approachable. And NCOs in the military, we the backbone. We get the job done. We don't come up with excuses. All those officers take all that fame and glory. I'm a very passionate, humble person. And to see this village suffering like it is, I'm very upset. When I seen my veteran wall up there, I was so upset. This was my first encounter with the mayor. Me and the mayor had butted heads because I was very upset and disappointed. So the first thing he did, well, if you the veteran, I'm gonna put you in charge of the veteran committee. My first objective was to get a committee together, get everything organized. My veterans suffering as well as these residents are suffering. So my first thing, took them raggedy names off that wall and got them all redone. I brought the Buffalo Soldiers out here for the people to see. I always encourage you to come out and support my veterans on Memorial Day and Veteran Day. We will make this thing work together, only if we unify with each other. This separation, we will never get anything done. To destroy your enemy, you divide them. To defeat them, you come together. And that's the only way this stuff is going to get done. Stop this back and forth, this mayor against that mayor. Come together as a village, plain and simple. The nonsense has to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Trustee Lewis.
So the issue with Aqua, Let's talk about that. The facts are the facts. 2 trustees were not selected. The forum for the court was open to everyone. We didn't make a decision of the $900,000. That decision was made with the judge. That's true. You can call down and ask. Of course, $900,000 is not enough money to fix what's going on in this village. We need more. Aqua knows they preyed on our community. 900,000 does not fix 2,000 homes. We fought tooth and nail, and we all were in a closed meeting that was discussed to have Mr. Oderson go and fight for as much money as possible that we could have. So let's clear it was 2 trustees. Everybody had ample opportunity to get on the Zoom and come down. That's not true. We fought for what we could fight for, and we're still continuing to fight. We're trying to go for a better path, move away from Aqua, get a better water source. We're trying to come for resolution. We're not trying to attack each other. We're trying to fight for what everyone wants, clean water. Clean water. We had the scientists. The scientists came and said what was happening. The IEPA, we went to the headquarters in Washington. They rolled out the carpet because we don't own our infrastructure. They clasped their pearls and said, how do you not own your own infrastructure? We're trying to fight for money for you, and we can't get the money because we don't own it. We don't own the infrastructure. So we're working in resolution with some of us on the board, along with the mayor, to move away. The solution is get away from Aqua and have a new water force. Also, our safety is a concern out here. You got a lot of people breaking in cars and jumping on our community. We need more police officers. We need that in our community. Yes, we do, but we got to get the dollars to do it.
Thank you so much, Trustee Lewis. The next question: what is your plan to prioritize the needs of the people while at the same time not falling prey to petty politics? What is your plan to prioritize the needs of the people while at the same time not falling prey to petty politics? Mrs. Jenkins Bell.
Those of you that don't know me and those that do, you know that my priority has always been with the residents of University Park. I put the children first. I put the seniors first because the people come first. I have participated with numerous food drives that I started, that I sponsored. I've fed the children for years during COVID, my daughter and myself, as well as giving toys out for the last 7 years with my own esteem and not any help with the Village of University Park. So when it comes down to petty politics, we have to stop. It's causing division in the community, and it's causing a break with economic development coming to our community because they see the petty politics. We have an empty town center that is sitting there with not very many stores in it at all, and it's because of petty politics. We need to make sure that we support what is coming to our community. People are not interested in coming to a community where there's going to be back and forth and back, and nothing is organized and nothing is done field-proof because they're thinking that we are similar to Dalton. These are things that have to stop. And my solution is to put people on this board like myself that can cross the aisles and work together and stop being the Hatfield and the McCoys and start putting the children first, the seniors first, the residents first, their needs, their wants, their desires. They're all coming up short because we're not getting along. I sat on the board for 4 years, going back and forth for transparency. We did not have transparency then, and we don't have transparency now. These are things that are going on. If we had transparency, guess what? All of the trustees would have been down in Joliet when Aqua was going on with their court case. This is what I'm talking about, petty politics.
Thank you so much,
needs to
Mrs.
stop.
Jenkins Bell. Trustee Lewis. What is your plan to prioritize the needs of the people while at the same time not falling prey to petty politics?
So we always put the residents first in University Park. So the petty politics with us saying that we don't get along, of course we're going to disagree all the time and agree. What we have to do is think of resolution. We have, at some of our meetings, I know they've been kind of intense and heated, but at the end of the day, we're still working for the people, you and University Park. We are driving forward. We're trying to make progress and bringing in economic development to put more dollars in your pockets. We are not fighting for, we're going out. When we go on these so-called party trips, we're going down there to bring back businesses to put dollars back in your pocket. Quick Trip, Samsung, Carvana, all these are Ryerson Steel. They're giving us dollars back to us, which hasn't happened in a very long time in this village. And we put our differences aside to make sure that we are for the people.
Thank you, Trustee Lewis. Trustee Brooks. Please, no comment from the congregation. Trustee Brooks.
Thank you. I was hoping you called me next because, you know, I've sat up there on this board 2 terms, okay? And let me say this. The last 2 years, I would have to say, yes, there will be arguments. There will be disagreements. There will be things that are happening that we know half this room may not agree. That's the purpose of democracy. But here's what you say. You asked it, well, I prioritize. I think I've already shown you. I've shown you. When I seen that, I asked, where did them credit cards go? When someone came to me and said, where's the American Express card? I said, what American Express? We got rid of that in 2017. And when the village manager did not do what I asked, and she said, well, you do what you got to do because you know who said you can't have it. I took it to court, and Judge Anderson did his job. That's putting the people first. With my money, you didn't pay nothing for that lawsuit, and I didn't give anything for that lawsuit. Let me also say there are always disagreements, and sometimes Trustee Lewis is sitting up here, I'll look straight across at her, and I say, are we going to do this tonight? And she said, just like when you came in there and we said we were not going to accept what happened in Joliet. We said no, but we couldn't stop what was already done. That's leadership of Theo Brooks in the room that night, whether you want to accept it or not. It's called putting the people first. You don't do something first without talking to the people. You don't go build Carvana without talking to the people. You don't go build Amazon, take your donation, and then turn around and don't talk to the people. You don't go get money from the steel company, $4,500, and then sign it over the same way with Quick Trip. I got 15 seconds left. Theo Brooks is for the people. That's called priority. I yield my time.
Trustee McFadden. Please, 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 thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pastor. Trustee McFadden. Pastor's coming back now.
Like I said before, I want to finish what I started. I am the liaison for the Finance Committee, and I love to bring awareness to what is happening in University Park. We've had events, food giveaways, coat drives. I want to see economic development and growth for the village of University Park. And I'm here to help to do that. I want to make sure everything for our kids and stuff comes first. And like I did with my kids, put the kids first and everything else will fall behind. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee McFadden. Mr. Robinson.
Yes, sir. My priorities be the same, the village. I would try to set something up where we can sit down and do what we call an AAR, after-action review, to get the townships, the residents' information from them as far as what we need to put in the village, what is feasible to put in the village, and what we can do to make the stuff that happens. But the problem that I see is even on trustee nights when they had the meetings, It's hard for the residents to get the information when the clown show is activated and performing, and it takes away the information that the residents needs to get because it's too much of a distraction. Every time it's the same thing, circus in the show, performing. That needs to stop because that's a deflection for you residents to get information, whether you know it or not, because the time you got to take to diffuse that situation, you done lost information. Now they done moved on to the next thing on the agenda. When you stop that circus from coming to town and stop them clowns from performing, you can get the information you need. Point blank, you can get it when you need it. But in order for us to do that, once again, I said we got to come together. Sit down, let's talk. We can all sing together, but we can't talk together. So if we sit down like grown people that we are, we can come up with a solution. Because I can tell you, if you sit down and talk, we can come up with a solution. But if we sit up here and argue, we're going to be able to disagree. We can both all agree that we can agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, it's for the residents. It's for you and your kids and your grandkids. Because whatever we mess up now is going to affect them later. So if you always saying you want to do this for the residents, y'all need to find a way to come together. Because your kids and their kids is going to be influenced and impacted by this so much. You like to send down generational wealth. You send it down generational hate.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Sorrell.
Our board affects the community. We need to listen to the residents, bring back information, stop all bickering. Like he said, stop taking time out of the meetings, bickering and arguing and talking about who didn't do what. Get down to the nitty-gritty and answer the questions of what the community needs. I'm a part of the mayor's office of special events. I want to continue the food drives and the clothes drives and to help the Hispanics who are out here who do not know how to speak English, help the community in every way that we can, the way we're supposed to. The water situation. If we can all come together, maybe we can get something done instead of fighting each other.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sorrell. As a reminder, if you have questions, please make sure you get them over to Shanika, because we are getting ready to go and raise your card so Shanika can grab it, because we are getting ready to go into our time of questions from the audience. So as Shanika is doing that and getting those questions over to Pastor Williams, the last question from me, the moderator this evening, is: where do you see the village of University Park 5 years from now? Where do you see the village of University Park 5 years from now? Trustee McFadden.
5 years from now, like right now, we got the bills and things in order. We're not in the red anymore. So from 5 years from now, I can see the village building up, streets cleaned and paved, and new residents coming into University Park. Hopefully property taxes and things go down, and we keep raising more equity into our community. The kids, things that weren't finished, the golf course, be able to use more, the park district, and just upgrade everything, make everything look nicer, and everybody just stay positive, and we can continue to grow. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McFadden. Mrs. Sorrell. Yep, there you go.
Better water system, better streets to drive on, a park district for our kids to play safely in, better transportation so that we can get around.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorrell. Trustee Brooks.
Well, with the election of Theo Brooks again for a third term, let me say this. I don't know where I would be 5 years from now, learn from God, because some things come in full circle. But one thing that I will say is that 5 years from now, your trustee Brooks, no matter where he's at on that board, one thing I see for you all as residents, you're going to have those streets paved. You're going to have these parks. Although you vote for a park and rec, whatever the position, whoever's on the board at the time, we will make sure that our kids have a place to play. On top of it, police, protection. I want a squad car down your street every 2 hours. I want you to have the #1 fire protection department here in the south suburbs. And as far as we talking about economic development, I pray by then the board, we have someone who is competent to have true economic development. It doesn't go to the mayor, then the village manager. No, we want the economic developer to go to, come to the board, and we do things right. And we continue to have a conversation. What we can't do, and I keep hearing it up here, that there's a divide. Ladies and gentlemen, you live in the United States of America. I got this flag pinned on. I know about wearing it too. My family fought for this flag as well. We can't have all I on that board. And that's what they want you to vote for. Those who will say I, with no type of dissenting voice on that board. You lose Theo Brooks in this election, you won't have no dissenting voice. What we have to have is a democracy in the village of University Park, and what we will be in a better place, including with our finances, as we get better to move this village forward.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Trustee Lewis.
5 years from now, I hope we all come together as a community and we can have camaraderie with one each other and wave at our neighbors and say, hey, and that our board comes together where we're not fighting all the time and you see the dissensions between us, or you assume that. 5 years from now, I hope we have economic development where we do have better roads, where we do have police officers riding on bikes, the bicycle when they come out, friendly police officers. We don't have that right now. 5 years from now, I hope the park districts bring us all together for the seniors, the children, the community. 5 years from now, I hope our community is growing. We are currently in a surplus. I hope the surplus continue to grow. I hope we put dollars back in our residents' pockets. That's what we're looking for. I hope we keep going upward and forward for University Park.
Thank you, Trustee Lewis. Mr. Robinson.
Yes, sir. 5 years, I would like to see us together. And I know we're going to do it, because when you punch forward, you're going to get more. And you're going to get me. Unlike Trustee Brooks said, I don't kiss butt. I don't suck up. I don't do none of that. Don't be scared to put me on that board. I'm going to bring strong leadership. So if you're scared of strong leadership, don't vote for me. If you want something done with some discipline, some order, so you can see what's going on, like I say, you punch that forward, I'm going to give you more. Okay? So it took us more than 1 day to get in this situation. It's going to take us more than 1 day to get out. You got to be patient. But as long as you can hold me accountable for my actions, come on with it. Because I'm going to bring the fire, and I'm going to let you put your own smoke and light you up. Because I'm going to give you your results. Don't get mad at the question when I'm going to give you the answer. Okay? So when you come up here to me, come to me with facts. I don't want no hearsay. They said this, they said that. Come to me correct with facts. We can sit down and have a conversation. So I'm going to give you what you want. I'm going to give you the transparency, but what I'm going to give you more than transparency, I'm going to give you facts. And you can't argue with facts. I don't have to defend the truth. The truth defends itself. So therefore, come on up there. Like I told you, I don't kiss butt. I don't like doing politics, but I didn't never say I didn't know how. I brief generals, I brief commanders on war tactics. I'm not scared of anybody. I put my pants on the same way any other man do. Only person I fear on this world is God. That's it. And I don't have to answer to nobody but God. and maybe my wife, you know. But, you know, other than them two elements of forces, I don't worry about nothing else. You have my trust. Like I say, hold me accountable. Me, I'm not here to talk about the other candidates. You can only go by what I tell you and hold me accountable, okay? So I'm asking you to go on up there and punch the floor and don't worry about no kiss butts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Jenkins Bell.
5 years from now, I would love to see University Park moving forward with retail, restaurants, children being able to go to parks that are clean, Park and Rec having programming for not just the children, but for adults, seniors not having to go over to Park Forest to their senior program because we have one here. 5 years from now, I want to see this board come together as a complete unit, one band, one sound. I want us to be strong as one entity, moving the village forward, steamrolling it forward. We're not in a negative. When I was on the board, we started, it was terrible. But now we're navigating. We got a little money. We need to make sure that we're doing what we need to do to ensure our future is okay. 5 years from now, I see a better University Park. Our home values are up. People are waiting for us to leave so they can buy the houses, and it's a line waiting on purchasing the houses. And we are that minority mecca in the Southland area. 5 years from now, I want to see the industrial park bursting with more economic development, bringing retail on the gateway on the inner core of Sister World with a grocery store. 5 years from now, this is all of the things that I can see happening in University Park. But it starts with transparency. It starts with the voice of the people. It starts with listening to what the residents want and the board respecting what the residents want and not putting their own personal agenda in front of what the people want and putting the people first. They're first always. 5 years from now, that's what we need to remember. 5 years from now, we need to make sure that our police are fully staffed. Our fire department has black firemen 5 years from now. These are all of the things that the people are saying at the doors. They want a water system. We need to investigate a well. We need to make sure what is gonna work here in University Park.
Thank you.
Aqua is our enemy. And
Thank you so
remember
much.
that, not each other.
Mrs. Jenkins. I think I got all of you, didn't I? All right, so we're getting ready to move on to the portion of our program where we take questions from the audience. So note that we only have a handful of questions that we're going to ask today, but what I will do at the end of this is I'll just read through some of those other questions. And those of you that asked those questions, please feel free, I'm sure, afterwards to talk to the candidates and get some of your questions answered. I also want to remind you all that we have some folks watching online. We have about 7 folks that are watching on Facebook right now. So I want to give a special shout out to Patricia Calloway, to Jamila Gooseby, to Linda Fawson. We have Mary Smith watching. So can we give a hand to our online audience? Thank you all so much for tuning in. So the first question from the audience is this. While we know the residents are watching, our children are watching as well. Okay, now, let's see if I can read this now. If you wrote this, help me out. I don't. I'm gonna go to the other one. Okay, I'll come back to you. Okay? All right. Now that Aqua lost both lawsuits, we still don't have clean water. What are your plans to fix this? I'll start with Trustee Lewis.
So right now, the program, right now, we have the $900,000. We have the TAP program that's going in. The next step is to move in the next direction is to get our own water source. That is the only way we're gonna move forward. Right now, we don't have a choice. We're trying to get our money, our coffers in order to move away, to tap in to Lake Michigan. That's the only way. Right now, even though Aqua has a strain on us, they own everything in our town. We went out, even the village manager, she was trying to get a grant to help. That was put on the kibosh by, I won't say what the attorney's name was, but she was trying to help us get more money in order for us to help move away from aqua to a new water system. That's the way we're looking forward in the future, is for a new water source.
Thank you so much, Trustee Lewis. Trustee McFadden?
I agree with Trustee Karen Lewis. We need to get a new water system company. Aqua has failed us for many years, so now it's time to move on with the money that they have paid us. We need to go with a new company. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McFadden. Mrs. Jenkins Bell?
Aqua is such a disappointment. $900,000 through a TAP program, 200 applications. No one has actually been approved. We won't know that until later on this year. So what do we do with Aqua? I still stand firmly to stop doing this nice with Aqua. Bring environmental lawyers in here. We've paid everybody under the sun. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's time to pay people that can get things done. Go to Flint, Michigan, find out who they used, and come up with a solution. We are not the only ones that are having problems with water issues. We need to force them to fix our problems. And Aqua needs to be held accountable. And we do that through media attention. We do that through marketing to our residents so they'll know to come out. We do that constantly and consistently.
Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins Bell. Mr. Robinson?
Yes, sir. I'm gonna have to apologize to everybody. I'm ignorant of the Aqua situation. I'm a new resident, so only been here 3 years. Only thing I can say about the Aqua situation is, if elected, no, let me change that. When elected, I will have to sit down with the other trustees and the mayor to go over all of the court results and look at everything that was going on. And then I can do my proper research on it and then try to come up with a solution to resolve the issue. I know it's a big issue. I hear it all the time when I'm talking to everybody. But for me, I like to get facts and not hearsay. So, like I said, I will have to get all the court results and read it and then do my own homework on it. But also, I would also get with the residents and tell them what I found and what my situation will be to fix it. Like they said, we have to find a new water source. And if Aqua got all of the land booked up, it's gonna be something, yeah, we're gonna have to sit down and try to figure out, to find is there any other way to get the water pumped in here. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Sorrell?
Work with the residents to continue to be a liaison between them, letting them know of every meeting, whatever's going on with the water, try and get a different infrastructure, try and get control of the water, working with the residents and just constantly keeping them abreast of what's going on and what we need to do, lobby and get together and protest against this water. If it's a community thing, then maybe they'll listen to us and we can get something done.
Trustee Brooks?
Ladies and gentlemen, my wife hates it because I just don't sleep at night since I've been trustee. I'll educate you a little bit here. You can't mix lake water with well water or river water. So we need to be careful. It was my 5th point when it came to talking about regaining a local control of the water system. You're going to have to bring all new pipes in, create a water department, as well as finance the water department. We barely can finance our public works. We barely have 3 plows on the street when it's snowing at 2 inches. So how can we maintain a water system? That's how far back we are. But it's not impossible. But we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars, starting at 50 minimum. When we get the water pumped, if you try to go to Lake Michigan, I want you to remind University Park who you're paying. You're paying Harvey, Country Club Hills, Chicago Heights, Then when you hit University Park, you think you mad at Aqua, we'll be mad at ourselves. So that's why I say those first 4 points we need to take in consideration in order to understand that there are multiple steps. I'm not discounting that we need, that is one of my points, but it was the 5th point. We still need to go further because the day I was removed from the advisory committee, Aqua was still using the wrong chemical, and the Illinois EPA told them, be cautious. So that tells you how much they care about us. It's just till now, the lead level, some of y'all getting tested, and it's still lead in your water. That's where we are still today, and we're far away from being recovered from this crisis.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Next question. While we know the residents are watching, our children are watching as well. Crete Moni, School District 201 and University Park has had its challenges, and board and community members from UP have had to fight for support. How will you partner with the school district for a stronger school system, especially considering the federal attack on schools? You need to hear that again? The question is, how will you partner with the school district for a stronger school system, especially considering the federal attack on schools? Mr. Robinson.
Okay. I referee a lot of the high schools, and had the opportunity to referee Creek also, but I'm no longer doing high school, only college. Some of the issues we can do, like I said, I started up a mentorship program, and I spoke to the principal, Mr. Lamont, up there. Also spoke to one of the other board members, Todd Hall, and about bringing activities to the school. But we always say, let's do something for the kids. If we don't include that school board and those kids to give us the information, they're not going to support it. So we have to sit down with those kids and get their input on what they want to see out here, so they don't have to go out to Richmond and all those other places. Also, with the mentorship program, I set up a leadership for the senior class. I set up a award for the top cadet. For the junior high, I set up a future leadership award. So we have all that in place for them, and we're going to bring activities out here to them and continue just supporting them. And with those activities that we have in mind for them, the 3-on-3 basketball, the school takeover. A lot of y'all might not know what that is, but a school takeover takes over for a prom party. So that gets the students involved to bring in local artists and other artists so they can do their own party. Monitored by the teachers, and that gets the teachers involved with them also. So until you can get all of the input from the kids, you're not going to be able to do nothing in order for them to support it. So my thing is to sit down with them, get all that stuff together, and support them in that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Trustee Lewis.
First, we have to engage as parents. That's the first step. We have to get together as parents and figure out a solution for the children. Then we gather the children and ask them about their needs that they want. It all takes a village for us to do everything for the kids. We need to figure out solutions, work with the school board, work with Todd Hall. He has a couple of suggestions we talked about when I went to the last school board meeting as far as resources for the school. The schools are, they don't have enough resources in the school. So we need to start as a village seeing what we want for our kids and come together to make sure we implement that. It's a lot going on up there. There's a lot of activities that the kids don't, as Tim was saying, there's not a lot of activities for the kids. They either play basketball, football, and the other sports. A lot of those kids are not athletically inclined, so we need to look at other programs to engage them. You know, tech programs. I can't think of the other ones off the top of my head, but kids are socially engaged with different things. We need to have programs, learning how to cook. Kids need to learn how to cook again. Things like that, because they don't know how to cook out here. But I'm just saying, we need to get involved with the school board and be more transparent up there at those school board meetings when they are having them, and get with those official elected officials on the school board to figure out better ways for the children.
Thank you, Trustee Lewis. Mrs. Sorrell.
Well, it starts out with the parents. If we train the parents and get them educated, then they can work better with the kids. We need to bring back different programs to the school. We used to have home economics, auto mechanics, different things other than just sports. You have kids that put them on a debate that are educated in that way. Teach them English and Spanish. Just have different activities. Bring it to the park district so we can have it in the community as well as the school. If you have a collaboration with the school and attend the meetings and you get the parents to attend the meetings, then they can speak up for what their children want. Let the children attend so they can tell you what they want as well. And listen to them. Follow through for what they're saying. Maybe you wouldn't have so many kids out hanging in the street or just smoking and drinking or having their own little parties if we had programs in our community or something for them to do. Give them jobs throughout the summer so that they can learn how to become young adults and provide for themselves other than buying other things, drugs and whatever in the streets.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorrell. Mrs. Jenkins Bell.
I currently sit on the PTO of the Creek Middle School with three other people. It's not a lot of participation. With us sitting on there and trying to provide different activities for the children, we're getting a lot of pushback from the principal. My thing is to have conversations with the principal to understand that we want to bring engagement with our children in the community. We've tried, we've begged, we've borrowed, we've fought, because the PTO is very important it's the liaison point between the parents and the teachers and the community. So my thing is for us as residents to start to get involved and come to these different meetings to see what's going on with the PTO and help us provide different activities for our children. There is participation, but it can only be limited when we don't have enough residential participation so we can bring in more than 10 children or more than 50 children. We need volunteerism. So these are things that I do. I sit on the Boasters Club also at the high school. We need our presence, if you know what I mean, at these programs. Because if we are not present, we cannot talk about anything that's going on with the schools because we're not interacting with anyone at the school. So it starts with interaction. It starts with volunteerism. It starts there. So this is what I'm saying. If you vote for me April 1st, I'm very faceted. I move around this community. I believe in our children and I support them on every level and always will. So come out. Join PTO at Creek Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins Bell. Trustee Brooks.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I heard that question correctly, I believe, and I've been following, whoever wrote that probably was following as well as I on what has happened with the recent shutdown of the Department of Education. I'll say to you as a point of a legislator, and this is what's great about me being part of government since 1997. Number one, the Village Board of Trustees. We just closed TIF 5. So that is multi-million dollars already going to Creek. Todd Hall, the superintendent, everyone has came, and so those funds will now go to the school. We just started supplying a funnel of money to 201U. That's number one. So Donald Trump got issues. Next, partner with the schools. I have to say that we have been engaging with the superintendent when it comes to the Board of Trustees. I've sat up here for 2 terms. I will say that I have always engaged with all the board members. And if I'm not mistaken, at least once a year, they come to us and we sit and we have a conversation at a board meeting, and I will say it has been successful. So I understand that question that the person written sits at the right point of the right time when it comes to the village with us having the money together and doing the right thing. And I can't wait to get in that state-of-the-art facility. But also, something else I want to press. Many of our kids, we're the base tax dollars when it comes to our kids going to Crete. What I don't understand is why we don't have a school resource officer program to have officers to engage with police officers from our community who look like us, talk like us, and know us. Why we don't have it, that's one point I definitely want us to
Thank
move
you,
forward
Trustee
on.
Brooks. Trustee McFadden.
When my son Arthur was in Crete-Monique High School, we enrolled him in a program with the Gloria J. Taylor Foundation, Dr. Teresa Dixon. It is phenomenal. It helped him do so much. And like now with him being in his second year of college, he has 4 A's and a B+. So I think if we get the kids more involved in doing different things with the Gloria Taylor Foundation or other foundations like that, she takes them on a trip every year. They'll go to Florida or somewhere. They'll pick a different place. And she's having a fundraiser next month. So I'm still 100% participating with her. Even when Arthur was there, he won the, what was it, like a crown. He was the king. He was the king of the foundation's annual fundraiser. So I like to give back to them. So I continue to participate with her. All parents, we have to continue to participate and help the kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McFadden. The next question is, what is your stance on immigration in Illinois being a sanctuary state? What is your stance on immigration in Illinois being a sanctuary state? Mr. Robinson.
All right, my stance is the immigration in Illinois is, first, we needed to take care of our own first. I'm all for them helping somebody else, but we got to help us first. So as long as the residents here has a decent place to live and they don't have issues with getting a job, then we can incorporate them in. But I don't believe in us knocking our residents out to bring somebody else in. Now, if it's done in accordance and in order, I can support it. But if it's any way out of order, I'm not going to be in agreement with it. So long as our residents is taken care of first, then we can work them in. But we must be first.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Trustee Brooks.
Repeat that question again.
What is your stance on immigration in Illinois being a sanctuary state?
Ladies and gentlemen, Brittany Woods. I disagree the migrants coming in without the board knowing. They're here. One big issue I had was one board meeting, Trustee Fulcher, Trustee Thompson. They said, "Did you see this?" I said, "What?" It was a $4,000 haircut bill. When I asked what it was about, I was told it was for 200 migrants that got their hair cut at a barbershop that is closed in Town Center. Now, those are the issues I have, and that's probably what Elon Musk is screaming about, fraud. And to this day, I still haven't received my documentation on the names and the birth dates of these migrants. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I was told it was a grant, but I don't see a grant. I don't see no paperwork. I'm with some of these people here that says, if you don't take care of us first, how you gonna take care of somebody that just came across the border from Mexico? You can't do that. You have to take care of the residents of University Park first. Then you take care of those in need. We don't have the resources to continue to do what we're doing. That includes pay for $4,000 haircuts, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Mrs. Sorrell.
Well, I think that we should take care of our own first. We have people that are homeless. We need to provide shelter for them first here before we take on someone else in the community. We need to take care of those who are in need of food, clothing. We need to take care of ourselves here. We have a whole 745 building that needs to be constructed. We need to take care of that before we start bringing in immigrants. We just need to take care of home before you take care of the outside first.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorrell. Trustee McFadden. The mic. Just make sure you keep the mic on. Don't turn it off when you're done with your question.
Okay. I agree with everyone else. We need to take care of our home first. We need to make sure our families here that lives in University Park have food. We have food giveaway at Faith Movers Church every Saturday. So if someone needs something, they can go there every Saturday at 10 o'clock and get food. I don't think we should take care of other families that are not part of University Park without taking care of our people first. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McFadden. Mrs. Jenkins-Bell.
Transparency is extremely important. It's extremely important. When the migrants came to University Park, we didn't know they were coming. They were coming in bus loads going over to Maple Leaf. We needed to know as residents, and they needed to the board should have let us know and secure our worries and concerns to let us know that they had received federal funding for these migrants, and it would not interfere with any of our residents in University Park that are in need as well. So I do agree that we need to take care of home first. Home is important, but we have to also remember that these are not dogs and cats. These are human beings. And because they made it to University Park, because I had an opportunity to go to the bus and see what was going on, because I wanted to know, and it was not good. Now, as a humanitarian and as a resident in this community that has fed so many, I care about people. I don't care where they came from. I don't care. I know that they're here, and they have to be respected now that they're here. It's something to see children eat out of a garbage can, and I've had to witness that during COVID. So these are things that are going on in this village that people don't know about. And being a trustee on this board, I will continue to make sure that everybody is considered. And that's how it's done. If you don't have government taking care of you, then who do you have but God? We pay taxes to take care of people. People shall always come first in this community, whether they're immigrants or whether they're residents. They're here now. Let's respect them and do what's right by them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins-Bell. Trustee Lewis.
Well, being a sanctuary state, there is a need to service the immigrants as well, but taking care of home is first, because there is a lot of homelessness with our teenagers. There are a lot of our teenagers who go without. We should take care of our families first, our home first, University Park first, and then we can take care of the migrants. It's sad to see that, you know, this happened to us across the world. We're not the only ones experiencing this crisis in Illinois. But the main thing of it is to take care of home, make sure our homelessness with our children, build programs so our kids are able to eat and have food drives for our children, and then we can go on to the additional for the migrants.
Thank you so much, Trustee Lewis. The next question is this. Please explain in layman's term what a TIF is and how does it impact our village? Please explain in layman's terms what a TIF is and how does it impact our village? Trustee Brooks.
Y'all would call on me for that one. Okay, actually TIF is an area where business, yeah. Yeah, tax increment finance, how could I put it? Oh, I'm sorry. That was the, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Right, he wanted the whole word. Okay,
That's time. No, I'm joking.
let me try to break it down to a sixth grade level. Answer the question. What is a TIF?
The question is, please explain in layman's term what a TIF is and how does it impact our village?
Right. Well, it greatly, because TIFs, like for instance, it's a district that receives where the business receives tax breaks over a certain amount of years, and basically at the end of the year, at the end of their term, they receive or they pay full. Like you just heard, many of you heard me say TIF 5. Okay, that's where Clorox and many of those businesses are. What happened was in order to attract those businesses, University Park created a TIF in which a certain area which is surrounded, which you have businesses that come in. It's almost like giving a business tax break. And at the end, there we go. I heard right, so that means we're on the right point. And what it does is it grows the village out. We are doing the right thing right now with TIF 7. We have, even though I didn't vote for it, Amazon, Steel Company. We don't have anything else over there. It was supposed to be more of a commercial. We still can go commercial. For instance, Amazon, they receive a 23-year, pay 75% into tax over 23 years. You following me? When those 23 years up, then they begin to pay the money like they should. So what it does is that it brings businesses here into the village as a form of attraction. And that's where we are. And yes, it does benefit University Park, because right now we have TIF 6, which is right here with the town center, and TIF 7. We have 2 TIFs that are still active and still can attract those businesses. Yield my time.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Mrs. Sorrell?
To my understanding, it's tax breaks for the residents. It brings opportunities and essential tools to the community, growth in the community, more businesses, just to enhance the community, from my understanding.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorrell. Trustee McFadden?
The TIFs do help the businesses that come into University Park get tax breaks and everything. Like we just paid off a couple of TIFs. Last year we paid off a couple of them, and we have a couple more coming up soon. So it helps the companies get tax breaks from University Park. So we look forward to when the TIFs are paid off. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McFadden. Trustee Lewis?
TIFs. TIFs are government tools used to clean up blighted properties and encourage jobs creation and employment opportunities, and to get most things back on our tax rolls. Just earlier this year, or earlier last year, I believe Carvana, we received millions of dollars from off the TIF over there back to our coffers. So that's what the TIF is.
Thank you, Trustee Lewis. Mr. Robinson?
Yes, sir. I'm going to break it down to you the best way I know it. It's kind of like a drug deal. The companies come in, lured in by the village. At the end of their term and their lease, they just give it back to us. And that comes back into the community. So like they said, to promote more jobs for us and everything. So in that situation, I know the situation we can bring in other companies, like a Dunkin' Donut, maybe a Starbucks. I know it's all these coffee drinkers in here. So, but that kind of helps us out with attracting the other companies to come in.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Jenkins-Bell?
TIFs bring in economic development. Well, I voted for, I got my butt whooped, but I did vote for Amazon. And Amazon anchored University Park through a TIF. And because of Amazon, Quick Trip came, Central Steel came. All of those happened with that TIF. And it was because of that, it created tax for our tax roll. So TIFs are a good thing in blighted areas. And it really, it helped us. but people didn't like the Amazon deal. But at the end of the day, the Amazon was a reason why Quick Trip came. And Quick Trip is doing very well for our community. We are out of the red and in the black. So we have to be grateful for TIFs in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last question is this. There are multiple questions relating to this topic as it relates to the Park District and our youth and our seniors. And so there's a need for a community center for both our youth and our seniors. What is your plan regarding that? What is your plan regarding a community center for our youth and for our seniors? Trustee Brooks. Trustee Brooks, I'm sorry.
I get it again. Good.
My bad.
Get caught on the right ones. Okay, let me say this, ladies and gentlemen. Whether you voted for a park district or whether you're for Park and Rec, let me just say this. Number one, I am against another taxing body. The reason why Park and Rec was closed down was because of what was done before I got to the board. Let's get that correct. Before I got there, the animals were sick. You had nobody taking care of Regal Farm. The parks was a disaster. Bottom line, the director shouldn't even been there. You were wasting $750,000 a year. $750,000 a year. What I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, we bring Park and Rec back, or even if it's the Park District, you bring Park and Rec back. It takes $250,000 to run that department. That's my stance on it. The money that we have been generating as of lately, the conversations, to my understanding, that has been brought to the board of a community center or a rec center, I'm for it. Because it's for the village of University Park and it's for our kids. The only problem I have is that we do not step into the situation we step into before 2016 when we faced the greatest financial crisis ever. There will be no, we have a Park and Rec building, community center, but yet we dipping over in TIF 7 like they was dipping over in TIF 5 and taking $22 million out for it, and there's no account for it. If you watch the last two board meetings, the last regular board meetings, we're missing $22 million. So as long as we handle and we're fiscally responsible, I'm all for it. And matter of fact, I'll say let's move this forward, but it must be done through public hearings to know what type of building you want and everything that will suit the needs of our children and our seniors. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Trustee Lewis.
So basically, for a park district that's bringing the community together, it will have programs. We can build programs for seniors, for the children. We don't have an indoor or outdoor facility for our kids to play. Right now, you have all the baseball team, football team, they're all outside. When the weather gets cold outside, they don't have anywhere to go. It's community engagement. I grew up in the Park District. We went there and learned many things. We went to the Park District where our parents knew where we were. They knew they could go down the street and say, I know where my child is, because you can sign up. There's a lot of camaraderie in there. Being in the Park District, you come together as a community. You know who your people are. It's things that we can have that we haven't had before, because we're going out of paying our tax dollars to Monique, to Matson, to Crete, that can circulate right here in our own community, in University Park. Having a park district brings us all together, especially the seniors. They want somewhere to go besides being in the white building. They'll have some place to go do crochet, play tunk. I don't know everything that they do. And the kids will have somewhere to play basketball, learn how to swim. That's one thing that our residents and our kids as black people, they don't know how to swim. We can bring in programs like that to teach us how to swim, to teach us how to do different things. I mean, our track team is practicing outside, the Flames. They don't have anywhere to go when it's indoor season. I think it's going to bring us together as a community, having the Park District.
Thanks so much, Trustee Lewis. Mrs. Sorrell.
Having a park district, like she said, would bring us together as a community, offering things like swimming instead of going out to Park Forest or some other areas, having different activities for the kids to participate in, activities for the seniors, stepping or whatever they want to do, just so that they can get out and participate. Like she said, to have the kids, for you to know where your children are, that they're safe, that they're participating in something, and that they're learning something and doing something constructive. So I think it's very important to have the park district.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorrell. Mr. Robinson.
Yes, sir. I supported the park district, and from my understanding, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, there is supposed to be a park district board, so the village shouldn't even have to worry about people stealing money from it, if I'm correct, right? So we shouldn't even have to worry about that. And plus, I like for my grandkids to come over and have some place to go. Sorry, Trustee Lewis, I learned how to swim because I was in the park. But that was my second home, was the park. In fact, it was, I'm gonna tell my age this time. It was used for an alarm system for us, because we knew what time to be in the house. When that one light started cracking up there, we knew what time it was to get on home. So that park district is gonna help you in so many ways in bringing activities back to the kids. Y'all keep saying y'all want something for them to do. That's the place. You rather keep them in a controlled environment. That's the most important thing, a controlled environment. Police station, fire department is right across the street. So that'll be a safe environment, plus it's a controlled environment. Those kids will have activities. I bring a lot, like I say, I bring a lot of events out here. So also I'm a referee, so when they have their tournaments, I can help them out getting officials for those games. So it's always gonna be something here to do. The problem is support it.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Jenkins Bell.
Democracy rules, the people spoke. Park district is what the people wanted. The park district is what the residents will get. That is my stance on the park district. It's important to have that, but we also have to remember that it's a separate taxing body. That means that people like the residents sitting in this room and the ones at home will be able to run for these boards to make sure that they are transparent and make sure that things are going accordingly. We can't put things back, but we can make sure that when we move forward with this park district, our children are safe, our tax dollars are being watched. So we need you guys to volunteer, run for office, and be a part of this park district to ensure transparency and to ensure that it will be done correctly. I think that there should have been some conversations had with other entities. Faith Movers is building a community center. We can't do double the trouble. So there are some conversations that should have been had, and that probably could have taken place if we had a level of transparency, because this was done behind the residents' back. And this is where we're at. But now that it's done, it's nothing that we can do about it. But we have to secure it as residents. And that means that we need residents that want to be part of this park district board to get ready to run for it whenever they decide to set it up, and also take into consideration that your taxes can be levied while you have it every year. So these are things that we have to pay attention to. We have to respect democracy, and we have to make sure that we are where we need to be and run for the park district of University Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins Bell. Trustee McFadden.
I support the park district 100%. For one reason, for the kids, so they can have somewhere to go and play and not be outside all the times. When I attended the health club, since we didn't have a park district or anything, I would always have to go to Matson or Tinley Park. I would like for us to have it right here, and we don't have to go there, and the kids will have something. Now, the senior building, I went there in February. I was invited there. I take pictures, and they wanted me to take pictures, and the seniors had a wonderful time. I enjoyed that time spending it with them, so I would help out with the seniors and the kids with whatever we come up with the park districts. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McFadden. So those are the questions from the audience. Now note that there were several other questions. And so I would invite those of you that asked questions that were not able to get your questions at least heard over the microphone, please engage these candidates afterwards. There were questions relating to trash not being picked up on the side of the street. There were questions relating to full-time police and policing in University Park. There are more questions relating to the youth. There are questions relating to your ability to work as a team and your ability to work with the current administration. And there are also questions around residents and ensuring that their voices are heard, and a whole bunch of other questions. And so I would invite those of you in the audience, please at the end, come down and engage with these candidates. I'm sure they'd be happy to answer your questions personally. At this time, as we near our close for this evening, I invite each of you to give your closing statements. 2 minutes each, starting with Mr. Robinson.
I'm gonna keep mine short and brief. Punch forward so I can give you more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Mrs. Jenkins Bell.
When you go into the polls on April 1st, I am a declared Democrat. You will see Sonia Jenkins, Democrat. Please vote for me April 1st, 2025, and remember that I'll always have your back, and I will always put the people first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins Bell. Trustee Brooks.
I want to thank First Baptist, and I want you all to give them a hand for bringing us together, not now, but when this is over with. And let's keep that energy going until April 1st. You have a choice in this election. I represent you, who I put first. As your trustee, I'm running for re-election because I believe in transparency, accountability, and progress. If re-elected, I will continue to be your advocate. I want to take time to mention and say thanks to Trustee Thompson, as well as Trustee Fulcher, for always being in that fight with me through these last 2 years. Now, I need your support. Early voting begins tomorrow. You're going to go and vote if you can, all the way up until April 1st. I want to say, please spread the word. It's time for us to start coming out and vote. That's one of the #1 reasons some elections do not go the way you want it to go. And make sure that your voice is heard. If you have more questions and want to know more about my platform, go to TrusteeTheoBrooks.com. That's where you can get more involved. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, remember, together we win. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks. Trustee McFadden.
Doing what's right is always the right choice. I appreciate your support in re-electing me, Trustee Janelle McFadden. Together we can continue to make positive impacts in University Park. Vote 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McFadden. Mrs. Sorrell.
In conclusion, I am grateful for the opportunity to speak today and witness democracy in action. I want to assure the residents that when elected, I will be a positive force dedicated to fostering growth and development for both current residents and future generations. I recognize the significance of building relationships and making decisions with the community. It's always the right time to choose what's right. I am Devania Sorrell, and I sincerely thank you for your attention. Please punch 5.
Thank you, Mrs. Sorrell. Trustee Lewis.
As we wrap up, I want to take a moment to reflect on the meaningful conversations we had and the significant progress we have achieved together. It's crucial for our voters to remain well-informed and and to seek out accurate information. I urge you to verify the facts and review my record of impactful legislation. I, Karen Lewis, am confidently seeking your support for my reelection, Punch 2. I am committed to being present in your neighborhoods and fostering open communication. If you need assistance getting to the polls, whether for early voting or on election day, don't hesitate to reach out. Together we continue building a brighter future.
Thank you, Trustee Lewis. And thank you to each of them. Can we give a hand to each of our candidates today? You can do better than that. And while you're thanking them, can you give a hand clap to yourselves for sticking it out, for coming out today on this snowy March Sunday? And at this time, I'll turn it back over to Reverend Dr. Reginald Williams, Jr. to close us out.
Thank you again so much for being here today. To our candidates, thank you so much for being here and presenting yourselves for public service. Just before we depart, two quick things. Want to remind you, please, ma'am, please, sir, on your pews, there is a survey that you can get by clicking that QR code. If you would go on that QR code and click that survey and complete that survey, it is a community needs assessment where you can voice kind of what it is that you are seeing as important, so that not only we as a church, but us as a community, we can serve one another. As we prepare to depart, 2 or 3 quick things. Please make sure you vote. Please make sure you vote, and make sure you take somebody else to vote. Too many folks died, got beaten, bloodied, and bruised for you to sit on your behind. Please make sure that you go vote. Number 2, when you vote, based on what you've heard, vote that which is in alignment with who it is that you understand yourself to be, who it is and what it is that you see as the future for your village. Last but certainly not least, this is not only to our candidates, but also to us as a community. To our candidates, because I'm a preacher, I ain't gonna do no sermon, but I am gonna say this. Even in government, even wherever it is that you are, whoever's elected, I ain't endorsing nobody. I can't endorse nobody. But regardless of who is elected, Scripture says, what does God require? But to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. If it's not doing justice, if it's not loving mercy, if it's not walking with our God, what are the policies and practices that are we engaging in that are not engaging in that? That is for those up here. That's for you, Mr. Mayor. What are we doing that is not engaging in justice, loving kindness, and walking humbly with our God and with one another? That is a word for our legislators, those who will be passing policies to make sure that the needs of our community are met. It used to be this thing that you put on your thing and say, what would Jesus do? That's what Jesus did. You claim you're Christian, what would Jesus do? Do what Jesus did, and that is meet the need. When people were hungry, he fed them. When people were homeless, he helped to get them housing, right? What would Jesus do? Do justice, love mercy, walk humbly with our God. To our community, they can't do it by themselves. It got quiet in here. It's easy to point fingers and say, y'all do, y'all do, y'all do. They can't do it by themselves. Todd can't do it by himself on the school board. If there is no cooperation and no community, it's going to be chaos. Last but certainly not least, many of us have identified that we are in a crisis period. Is that correct? Water, taxes. Marvin say taxes, death, and trouble. Right. All of this is going on. Here's the other side of that. This is the prophetic alternative piece for that. Crisis also presents opportunity. If you look at it as just staying in crisis, you're going to stay there. What is the opportunity that we can move toward, right? What can we do to make sure that what we see now is not seen in 5 years, 10 years? And what are we going to do about it? Pointing fingers ain't going to do it. Sometimes it takes removing folks. Y'all got quiet? Okay. I ain't running for office. I don't care what y'all do, right? But sometimes it requires removing, and then sometimes it requires resolve. And what resolve is determination to go on and see what the end is going to be. May we be those committed to doing justice and to walking together to make sure that this is the community that we want it to be. Amen. God, we thank you for another day. We thank you for this time to be able to ask questions and hear from those who are representing us. May we always remember that particularly in times of chaos, where fools are running rampant in Washington, D.C., where policies are pummeling our communities, may we always remember that it is community that has helped us to get through in the past. It is community that has helped us to survive the perils of the past. And may we be more committed and engaged to walking in community with practices and policies empowered by your Spirit that do justice and love kindness and mercy and walk humbly with you. Be with us as we leave this place, but never thy presence. Be with us as we move toward the voting booths, remembering the cost that it costs for us to even get into a voting booth. When we leave here, oh God, more committed to making University Park the beautiful place with the beautiful people it already is. Be with us is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. We invite you again to come engage the candidates, come ask the questions, shake hands, see what they're cooking for dinner, see if they're going to buy you dinner for the night. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our media team for sticking and staying all day. Kevin and Shanika, thank y'all. I appreciate y'all.